Every empire has its story. It's always a tale of, well, ambitious beginnings, a rise to unbelievable power, and then that inevitable moment when the cracks start to show. This is the story of a modern empire, one that wasn't built on land, but on light, on data, and on our collective attention.
So, what if I told you that this digital kingdom, the one that completely reshaped how we spend our time, the one we all go to every night, what if I told you its foundations are starting to crumble? What if the world's biggest streaming giant is slowly collapsing?
To really understand the empire, you have to go back to the beginning, back to the rebellion it started. And it didn't start with a bang, not at all. It started with a simple, almost quaint idea inside a little red envelope. It was an idea that saw the future and decided to mail it right to your front door.
And the path to get there, it happened in these quick, audacious stages. Back in 1997, it was the ultimate maverick, right? Taking on the Goliath blockbuster with this crazy idea of no late fees. Then by 2007, it made a move that just seemed insane. It basically killed its own business model and jumped headfirst into streaming. And then, 2013, that's when it did something nobody saw coming. It stopped just being a library of other people's stuff, and it became a creator. And just like that, the revolution was complete. And out of that revolution, an empire of just unbelievable scale was born. I mean, this wasn't just a company anymore. It had become a cultural force of nature. It was the new default for how the entire world spent its evenings. This was the golden era. This was the absolute peak of its power. 222 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. At its very height, more than 222 million homes across the planet were paying subscribers. That's a digital nation bigger than most actual countries on Earth, all watching, all plugged into the very same source. See, Netflix wasn't just knocking on Hollywood's door anymore. It was the one knocking. It wasn't just hosting the culture. It was creating it. Its shows became these massive global events, sparking conversations and memes that just jumped across borders and languages like they weren't even there. And in the process, it completely rewired our brains. The whole idea of waiting a week for the next episode, that just died. And in its place, this new global ritual was born, the binge watch. We started sacrificing entire weekends to the altar of that next episode button. It was a powerful, and for them, a very profitable new habit. But here's the thing about empires. None of them last forever. The very dominance it had worked so hard to achieve started to attract some serious challengers. The skies, which had been clear and wide open for so long, they started to darken. A storm was gathering on the horizon, and the first tiny cracks began to appear in the crown. An emperor is never left alone on the throne for long, and pretty soon new armies started gathering at the gates. You had Disney with a century of beloved stories. You had HBO, the undisputed titan of prestige TV. And then you had Amazon and Apple. Tech behemoths was basically bottomless pockets. The streaming wars had officially begun. And wars are expensive. I mean, just look at the staggering jump in spending on this chart. To defend its throne, Netflix was forced into a content arms race, pouring billions, and then billions more, into just producing more and more and more. It was a pace that was becoming, well, financially unsustainable. And all that pressure, it really started to show. To fund this war, prices had to go up. To fill that endless library, a lot of us felt that the quality started to go down. And then came the move that really tested everyone's loyalty, the crackdown on password sharing. Suddenly, the empire felt less like a service, and a lot more like a warden. But here's the twist. The greatest threat wasn't actually another streaming service. It wasn't a rival king or some competing army. No, the real enemy was something much deeper. It was a quiet but profound shift in our own behavior. Welcome to the attention economy. It's this new world where the most precious, most finite resource isn't gold, it's not oil, it's just moments of your conscious awareness. Every company, every app, every single notification on your phone is fighting this brutal zero-sum game for a few seconds of your day. This chart, it visualizes the new battlefield perfectly. That long, deep binge watch, which was once the undisputed king of our time, is now just fighting for scraps. A huge chunk of our screen time has been completely conquered by the endless hypnotic scroll of short-form video. The quick dopamine hit is winning. against the slow burn of cinematic storytelling. And that right there is the existential threat. The entire empire was built on the assumption that it could hold your focus for hours at a time. But in this new economy, the new currency is your attention, and we're spending it elsewhere, 1 second at a time. So what you have is an empire built on the fragile foundation of our sustained focus that now finds itself in a world that just refuses to sit still. It's a giant built for a marathon, now trying to compete in a world of endless, tiny sprints.
Because in the world of digital empires, dominance is always temporary, our loyalty is fleeting, and power is only as strong as the last second of attention you are able to command. In this world, even giants can fall. But you see, this isn't really just the story of one company. It's a story about the future of media, of culture, of our own minds. And that leaves us with one crucial question. In this relentless, unending war for our attention, who falls next?